there's one thing that Dreamhack, okay, there's probably a lot of things we didn't talk about. There's one thing we definitely didn't talk about that Dreamhack does, and that's work with charity organizations. We have a lot of different charities that we want to enable, empower, and spread what they do. And one of those ways we do it is bring them to the show. Have you ever had a chance to kind of talk to any of the charities that we bring?
I have talked to some in the past, but none have been this passionate about what they're trying to do as our next guest is, and that is James from NonToxic Gamers. If he wants to come over here and join us. James, come on.
Okay, and there's your microphone. Welcome to the show. So obviously, you know, we know who our guests are, and I feel like you set us up perfectly for this, because in our last interview segment, we had a streamer on, and we asked her about some of the challenges of being a streamer, and she spoke about sim swapping and getting swatted, right? That's what it was. And so a cool thing that James is doing here at Dreamhack is actually doing a panel on cybersecurity and protecting your information online. I know this doesn't have anything to do with a charity, really, but I did kind of want to start with that since we did just have the streamer on. Tell us a little bit about that panel that you're doing.
Sure. So the panel is actually talking about keeping kids safe online and being safe when you're in the general online presence gaming industry as well. So we're going to be talking about just general practices that you can use in order to keep yourself anonymous, private, as you're entering into the competitive space. You want to do content creation, anything like that. In addition, we'll just be talking about maybe some personal experiences that professionals and people like myself have had in the industry. Working in cybersecurity, I'm familiar with what can potentially happen. So it's really just trying to help both youth and anybody that's in the industry today, teach them how they can be safer, more respectful as they're online. Yeah.
Okay, so what time is that panel so we can direct people there?
Yes, so I believe that panel is going to be at 3 p.m. on Sunday.
It is, he remembers.
Yes.
I scheduled that panel, I was checking
I was checking if, because I'm on 2 of them.
Yes.
So, yes.
Yeah, that's the second one. Well done, test passed, so he can continue the interview.
And speaking of continuing the interview, let's actually dive into your actual nonprofit organization.
Certainly.
So if you want to introduce that first, then we can speak about it a little more.
Sure. So I work with NonToxic Gamers, NonToxic Global. We work to educate and provide awareness about toxicity in gaming, and then try to fight against that by helping youth, both in underprivileged areas as well as just in the industry, people that are trying to go competitive or just want a safer place, a more family-friendly place that they can play, have fun, stress-free. Because as we know in industry, there can be a lot of offensive language that's used. There's a lot of not so friendly content out there, and esports is about community. It's about staying engaged and wanting to have a place to have fun with your friends, escape from the real life sometimes, and we hope to change and shift the balance of that from now being a predatory space to being something that's more friendly for everybody.
And you talk about that as well, and jumping into any online game, everybody's like, oh, that game is so toxic, and it seems like it happens with every single game eventually. So I feel like that's not just the game, it's the people that play video games themselves, and because I feel like there's no real stigma against being a jerk online, right? Because you can get away with it. There's no accountability. There's no like ramifications. It's actually gotten so bad that some of the people in competitive leagues are getting banned from the publisher because they are being toxic online, and that it's a really serious issue. So what are some steps that NonToxic Gamers has taken to prevent some of this toxicity?
Yeah, absolutely. So there's really 2 main factors that fall into toxicity. One is that with every game having it, the majority of the time, the reason that you feel like every single game has toxicity is because those people tend to be the loudest in the crowd. And as we know, like wherever you are, if you're the loudest, then you tend to get heard the most, even if it's not the best for the best reasons. So the majority of the community does want to just have a fun time and play the game and enjoy themselves. So what we can do is we integrate not only with the publisher, the developer, to create community spaces in their game, working with Discord or like creating clans, guilds, things like that in the more multiplayer spaces. But we can also work with the developer to implement features like the feedback buttons and things where you're reporting people, stuff like that, in more adolescent games, or teaching the developer how to educate their staff to better interact with the community. That way you can say, okay, maybe this isn't the right way for you to be interacting with our fans, our community, especially at a competitive level, when you've got tens of thousands of kids that are looking up to these players that are being role models.
So what are things that you look to do at Dreamhack? What do you engage in? You know, are you going to indie devs and talking to them about your game? Are you interacting with the esports? You know, what are you focusing on here at Dreamhack to kind of help with that?
Absolutely. Dreamhack is one of my favorite events because the community is so integrated and everybody is just here to have a good time. I love it. So every single aspect we try to stay integrated with. I always go around and check out the new indie games that are going on just to see what they're about and then see if we can help them integrate with anything that we're doing, because we've got people that would love to play test your games. We've got content creators that would like to showcase your content, get it out there in front of an audience. That way you can generate sales, stuff like that. Even help out with development if we can, because we've got people that work in industry. We also have worked with Dreamhack in the past, and we've actually done activations where we'll set up a booth, we'll raise awareness for what's going on, we'll interview players, content creators, teams that are here participating in the esports events. I know there's some awesome stuff that's going on with CSGO and League of Legends here this weekend, so I'm all about that. We just like to stay connected, because if you're spreading the message and you're continuing to do that, then it has a more lasting effect, I think.
So in 5 years, if you look at NonToxic Global, what do you want to be doing with it in 5 years? What are you hoping happens? What do you want to see changed, right?
Yeah, I mean, sky's the limit. I would love to see the organization become a household name for being able to change some of the stigmas that's about the gaming industry, even being able to help parents identify what communities are safe for their kids to be a part of, working with schools and doing activations there to teach high schools, colleges, how to transition players into the professional community while also teaching them the ethics that they should be learning while they're going into it. There's so much that we've thought about that we're now looking to make sure that we can actually do with the resources that we've got.
All right, well, that's very inspiring and encouraging. Thanks for stopping and, you know, kind of filling us in and our audiences on what you've been up to. We are going to, you know, send you away and transition into music, but we very much appreciate your time. You're going to do a quick shout out how people can find NonToxic Global and let them know where to look.
Yes, so you can check out nontoxic.gg online, that's our website, or you can check us out on Twitter at NonToxic Gamers.
All right, thank you so much, James. We'll see you around the event.
Thank you.